Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes. Welcome everyone to another episode of Outside the Panels. I am your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and have I got a show for you this time around? Yes, it is the hat-trick ball winner. Returning once again, friend of the show, it is the fantastically creative Laurie Calcaterra. Laurie, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. Thanks for having me on. I know I was so excited. I was like, yes, hat trick. I'm there for it.
For those who have no idea, hat trick's when you run 3 times. So
Yep.
yeah, well done. 3 touchdowns, 3 goals, whatever. And how eager was Laurie? I'll tell you this. I logged on 10 minutes early to get things prepped, and she's there in the room waiting for me. It's like some sort of crazy stalker thing. Have you got any knives down there?
Yeah,
Laurie,
I'm having a good time.
Good. I have to say, when you reached out to be on the show again, I was absolutely thrilled. Thank you so much. It's great to see such a fantastic product, a fantastic book, get such recognition straight away. How's
Thank
that
you.
feel to you? You set up a Kickstarter for number 3 of Pale Rider, and you've funded already. You've got like 22 days left to go.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a great feeling, let me tell you, because now the rest of it's just fun. You know what I mean? The pressure's kind of off where we can just really, go on shows and just have a good time, and people can find us. and it's reassuring to me that I've had a lot of return backers and I've had a lot of new backers as well. So to finally be seen for what we are and what we're capable of doing is really cool. And we're just going to grow. The further we get in the story, it gets, I've always said this to you, it gets crazier the further we go. And I'm looking forward to that.
I'm just hurt a little bit when you said you do shows. I thought you and me were tight, but
I'm always going to come on your show. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
There's some that have switched out this time, but I will always come on your show.
Really? That's their loss. Their loss.
Yeah, I know, but that's what happens.
So, tell us about number 3, because issue 1 and 2, issue 1's introduction, 2 setup, sets off the quest. Issue 3, what can we expect from issue 3?
So we're going to do a time jump.
How very Walking Dead.
So we are actually, this story is not told literally. So first 2, you get to see the kind of the end of the world and how terrible of a place it is. And now we're going to jump back to the beginning of the apocalypse. So we're going to see Jude St. Clair on the day Death disappeared, and how quickly things start to fall apart. He's there. There's a whole new cast of characters. We're going to cover about 5 years of the apocalypse.
In one issue?
In one issue, we're going to jump through a ton of stuff. So much happens in this issue. So all that stuff that we've kind of talked about, like the food issues, like the burgers that still move, and the overpopulation, the unrest, and the riots. Now we finally get to see all that stuff that I've been hinting at.
Cool.
Plus more. Of course, I didn't tell you everything.
Of course not. I would expect nothing less from a star creator to keep some things under her cap.
Have to keep secret to keep everybody wanting to come back.
Definitely. You have a promo for issue 3, I believe, on your Kickstarter page.
Oh yeah, on the page, I have a welcome video. Let's see, if you stick it up there, I can probably push play for everybody.
There we go. Is that there?
Here it is.
Voila.
Hi, I'm Laurie Calcaterra, writer-creator of the all-new Western Apocalypse comic book series, Path of the Pale Rider. Welcome to our Kickstarter to produce issue number 3 of our ongoing series. If you're not familiar with the story, it's about a cowboy 10 years into the apocalypse who is still looking for the answer to the question, why did the dead no longer die?
He will go through wild terrain, undead bears, cipher conspiracy theories, and try to keep his heart beating in the process. Our new issue begins at the beginning of the fall, the day Death went missing, and you will get to see how quickly things begin to crumble. Follow Jude St. Clair as he navigates this new reality and deals with chaos, confusion, and undead humans. You'll get to meet a new cast of characters, see familiar fuzzy undead bears, and experience what started Jude down his perilous path. I'm also happy to announce we have a new artist on the team named Marta Gasparoni, who will be coloring the pencils and inks drawn by our very own Marco DePillo. Cover art for this issue is done by Angelo Aquino, Everett Watkins, William Russell, and David Sanchez. If you're new to this series, don't worry. Issues 1 and 2 will be available in a catch-up tier. Also new to our campaign is samples of hot sauce, secret rewards, and even a chance to get mauled by Big James himself. So please, review our reward tiers and see which one works for you today. Thanks in advance for your support.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I am absolutely wow. Right. Let's start at the top. Who's the singer? Whose music have you used on that?
That is a copyright-free song I found on YouTube.
Cool.
Dark
Excellent. Good
Western.
call.
Yeah, amazing song. Let me go look it up real quick, actually, because I have it saved. Dark Western. Yeah, these are really cool. I found a whole playlist, and let's see. Show more. So the first, that's called Warhol. Dead Men Walking official audio.
Wow,
Warhol,
that's impressive.
the name.
Wow,
Yeah.
it sounds really cool. It's a great fit, great fit. I showed the video to my wife earlier today while I was getting prepped, and she was like, "What's the thing on the chest?" I was like, "Yeah, well, I could tell you, but then you should read the book, right?"
Right. I mean, I can give an explanation for anybody that's watching.
Go for it.
Yeah. So let's back up. So in Death of the Pale Rider, death is broken, right? Mm-hmm. So your body can die, but your soul or your consciousness, your energy, it doesn't leave your body upon death. So you're in your body as you decay, but you're still you. So you're not a zombie per se, where you're trying to eat other people or craving brains. It's just you, Johnny. It's me. It's your spouse, your neighbor, your mom. But as your brain rots in your skull, you go crazy. So you become forgetful, you become violent, maybe detached, definitely chaotic. So we have this whole class of people that are now a new minority in the beginning, that are dangerous. And one of the things that the government does is they create these devices called discs that everybody wears, because in the beginning, as soon as you're undead, you can still pass for living, right? And as time goes on, the undead get better at passing for a living because they're developing either chemical ways to embalm themselves or makeup techniques, etc. So these discs, when you tap the center, it will light up green if you're alive and red if you're undead. And it also has an audio component to it as well.
Yeah.
So you'll hear the heartbeat, or it will, like, that flatten up line noise. Yes, for when you're undead. So that's what they're all wearing, because it's kind of like the new driver's license. And there's a police force called the collectors that will come and just tap you without your permission. They just, are you alive? Let's see, you know?
Yeah.
But the cool part about it is, in this world, we treat it just like it's the real world. It's technology, so we hack them.
It's just making it harder for everyone. It's like,
this world is terrible. It's a terrible place. But I mean, you could have a disc and it can malfunction. So even though you're alive, you could get tossed in the undead van. Or, you know, there might be a video out there of someone from the undead underground teaching people how to hack discs.
Sounds like a YouTube thing.
Doesn't it?
Doesn't it just? With the idea, I mean, we've talked about this before a little bit. When we talk about the consciousness staying within the body, and then how the mental faculties decay.
Yes.
Have you used, I suppose, metaphorically, if we try and transpose that into the real world, that sounds like a form of dementia.
Yes.
Has dementia and mental health played a part in kind of the way that the characters kind of devolve? If devolve's the right word.
Decline,
decline, degenerate. Was that kind of like at your forefront as you were kind of exploring those avenues?
Yeah, 100%. That's how this new minority acts. At first, they're themselves, but not for very long. And then we do mirror their decline, just like a dementia, you know, unfortunately, patient or person going through that. But it happens a lot quicker in the beginning until the undead kind of figure out ways to, like I said, to prolong that. But it is just prolonged. It's inevitable that you will just decay down to bones. But even if you're a pile of bones, you're still here. You don't get to leave.
Yeah. I can just imagine like a screaming burger. No, don't eat me.
Yeah, right? I mean, there could be heads. I think when we get farther into a story, there's a character that is just a head. So that's interesting. But yeah, the burgers will still move while you eat them. Chicken nuggets are, you know, moving. It's gross. Insects,
I suppose that answers,
don't work.
I suppose that answers the question. What actually goes into a chicken nugget now, right?
Chicken.
Yeah. Is it really chicken?
I think it's chicken, but I didn't say what part of the chicken.
I can imagine there's one leg, one beak, trying to move around like trying
it's like trying to walk away. It's still making noise. There's a beak in that one.
Yeah. And there's one just hopping around in a circle because it's only got 1 foot or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, gross. Like, oh, that would just ruin dinner time, you know?
So that's what you want. You want a pack of lemon chicken nuggets that are dead. They just follow each other around trying to do that crazy thing. Oh, dear me.
Like,
feel free to
dinner
add
just
that.
got a lot weirder, people.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying anything about the food at Mackie D's, of course. No, I wouldn't say that. But I don't have a sponsor deal, so I can say what I like. Do you feel that it was a risk taking a step back before moving forward? Because issue 2 has a bit of a cliffhanger element into it, and you're kind of keeping everyone on edge. I get logically why at some point you have to go back. Is it a risk doing it from the 3rd issue?
I've talked about this too. There's pros and cons to doing kind of a non-linear story. And one of the pros is you get thrown into that apocalypse from the get-go. So this is your new normal. You get to see how grisly and terrible the world is. One of the cons is you already know this character is safe, right? So we're going back in time, and no matter what I throw at Jude St. Clair, you know he's going to make it through.
Right.
Unless, unpredictably, he's been dead this entire time. It's possible. But you don't know if anybody else is safe. But my whole point of this is to show really the background of how terrible this world is and what sets this world apart from every other apocalypse and zombie apocalypse story out there. The human nature and the fall of society and how it happens, and then what sets Jude on this path. Because as we saw in issue number 1 and issue 2, he's willing to do just about anything to find the answer, including pick bar fights and sacrifice his horse.
Don't mention the horse. I love that horse.
I know. Hopefully you all have read issue 1, because I just spoiled something. Maybe we should edit that out.
Nope.
So you don't know what happens to the horse. So you gotta read to find out. And I like leaving people with this kind of killer ending, either a twist or something big that happens. So both issue 1 and 2, when you get to the end, you're just gonna be like, dang it, Laurie, I need to know. I need to know. You know?
It's interesting because you talk. It's when you do like a zombie horror type book and like a dystopian future where whatever it is that's caused the apocalypse, it's easy to consider it as an abstract idea. Because if you say to me apocalypse, I'll go off and I think one thing, the next person thinks something completely different, but we all end up in the same place. I think it's a really, I get the cons. I get the cons wholeheartedly. You know, we all know that Anakin Skywalker is going to turn into Darth Vader at some point. Yeah, we know that happens, right? But the flip of this is, in your case, it makes the sense of loss that much more because you get to see that, right? You get to see the emotional aspect that Jude goes through. You know, just as opposed to the same extent, you see the amount of loss that Padme went through in the whole Star Wars prequels, whether you love them or hate them. So I think it's a massive part of the story. It has to be told.
It has to be told.
Definitely, you can't just readers are idiots. I didn't say that. So sometimes you've got to tell. You guys, it's show and tell, right? It's show and tell for a reason, right? So you've got to show and tell, and I think
absolutely
doing it early on means that you get it out of the way. You create that sense of understanding in your character, and then next issue it's normal services resumed.
No,
at least that's how I see it. What?
Nope, we're going to be in the past for a little bit. We're going to be in the past for a little bit before we get back. So I'm not saying how many issues, but we're going to be here for a little bit because there's a lot that happens and I can't cover it all in one issue. So just remember, when we start issue number 1, we're 10 years into the apocalypse. So in issue 3, I'm giving you 5 of those years.
All right, okay.
We're not back yet. So there's going to be some more in the past. You know, and the thing is that I'm going to introduce all these characters. You don't see them in issue 1 or 2. So what happened to them?
Daniel, Laurie.
Are they still out there in the world? Where'd they go? You know what I mean? Of course, they're still out there in the world because you can't die. So where the heck are they? Right?
Yeah. I don't know, they're probably farming chicken McNuggets or something.
They could be just about anywhere. But it's interesting to me, the emotional content of what happens, because the world is kind of the antagonist in my story. You know what I mean? There isn't really, I mean, Big James obviously is an antagonist in issue number 1, but the main antagonist is how the world works. Yeah. So in issue number 3, we get to see how the world affects Jude, and really ultimately how we end the issue sets up how Jude ends up on the road.
Cool.
So
perfect. Let me ask you a question about the creators, because you've had a creator change around. You brought in a colorist.
Yes.
Initially the book was black and white, and then you've gone back and recolored and stuff. So what was the choice now? Why was the choice now to go back to color, as it were?
We had talked about black and white or color on the first issue, and ultimately it was financial decisions that it was our first issue ever. And the cost behind paying someone who can bring the story to justice. Marco DeFillo was worth every single penny. When you look at his art, he can tell the story without any words.
Yeah, that's a trick. What have I seen recently? I tell you, it's a bit of a big name book, but I recently saw Batman Spawn, uncolored, uncollected, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
But it's like the black and white version, no letters, no colors, just
Yeah.
the art of the story. And I looked at this, and my friend looked at this, and we looked at this together. We're like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I have no idea."
See,
but it looks pretty. And it is a problem. It absolutely totally is a problem. If you're going to do a story without words, get someone who can tell a story through pictures.
Right. And that's one of the best compliments that we've gotten is you can actually go through issues 1 and 2 and completely understand what's going on before I even go back and letter it. So we were very close to a color stretch goal on Kickstarter number 2. So I pulled the trigger. So I'm paying out of pocket for that. But you know what? It's beautiful. And the story, when you look at issue 1 and issue 2, it's superior. It's in color. You can see it fleshed out. It's amazing. We brought in a colorist for issue number 3 because Marco DeFillo is getting busy. He not only draws my series, he's drawing 2 other books, and then he has commissions galore. He's at the point where he can start telling people no, which is amazing, right?
Good call.
Right, and I mean, this is what he does for a living. He doesn't have a full-time job and does this on the side. He's a full-time artist. So I want him to be busy, but I also want to make sure that we can have a turnaround time that's, decent.
Yeah.
So,
I want you to be busy doing my book.
Right, exactly. It's not only busy doing my stuff, right? He's got other stuff to do. So it makes more sense for him to continue to do the pencils and ink. And we found a colorist who is very close to his style. Like, she's amazing, Marta Gasparoni. So we speed up that much quicker that Marco can do, 4 pages. We send them to Marta. She colors them. They come to me and I letter as we're going. So it's not, issue 2, Marco finished the book in, I think, a month and a half. And then he had to go back to the beginning and took another 3 weeks to color. Yeah. And he's fast. You know what I mean? But that was an additional 3 weeks that everybody had to wait before I could release the PDF. So in this case, we're going to pick up that time by having Marta involved. And that was the goal. So You're still going to get a beautiful color issue that now that we've kind of set that precedence, to go forward. And we do have intentions of going back and coloring issue 1 when we raise some more funds. So anything in excess that we get for campaign for number 3, there's 2 things that it goes to. 1, recapping some of the issues I had with the print job, because that's a thing. And then coloring issue number 1.
See, that's answered the question, because my wife asked that question earlier. She said, so they've already funded, so what happens if they make more than they need? What happens to that then? Does that go to the next issue? I was like, well, funny you should say that. It goes. And then, so that was cool. So well done.
Yeah.
Mrs. H will be pleased.
It's great. We can go back and color 1. We can start working on issue 4. It gives us a little more freedom to produce a product without being under a time crunch, without being beholden to the next Kickstarter. You know what I mean? If we can get far enough ahead on the next one where it's like by the time I run the Kickstarter, we're more than 50% done or completely done, kudos to us. You know what I mean? And eventually that's the goal, is to be running, a whole issue ahead. So that way when we, launch the Kickstarter, we're like, it's already done. That's our goal. We're not quite there yet because we're still pretty new. We've been doing this about a year. Like we started.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So
it feels like you've been part of the comic industry for more than a year. And the idea that you want to get ahead of the game, I wish you'd go and work at DC or Marvel, because the amount of filling issues those guys put out is ridiculous.
I know.
So
it would be great if I could have their funding.
I rest assured. I think I genuinely think if your Kickstarters keep getting funded like that, then I swear someone will pick you up and be like, "Yeah, don't worry, we got this." So I think
That would be
I think
great.
it's just a matter. I think it's just a matter of finding the right publisher for you.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, we've got lots to talk about. Time for
Yeah.
one of our adverts, one of our other shows. We're going to take a little bit of a walk on the wild side with this one. This is K-pop Cosmos from Freya. Check it out. Slice of the wild side on K-pop Cosmos. When Freya told me she was doing the advert, I was like, excellent, because all I know about K-pop is thigh-high short skirts and fishnets. Why am I surprised that none of that appears in that advert? Freya, you did me up like a kipper. God
I love the guy that was wearing the guard hat, though, the big fuzzy one from.
I watched that video where he plays, and I'm thinking to myself, surely this was like what all the boy bands used to do back in the day, and people used to point and laugh. But obviously, I'm a little bit too old. I'm a little bit too old, I suppose, for that sort of thing. Anyway, check it out, K-pop Cosmos. New shows once a month. Freya absolutely loves the K-pop culture, so if you like that sort of thing, by all means, check out the show because Freya's fantastic at it. So. There you go. Cool. Cool. Next, back to it. So, as part of your process, you have this whole multimedia thing going on.
Yeah.
Right? There's like puzzles and riddles in the book to solve. You've got short movies that go on to add context. You kind of try to take over the world, aren't you? One comic book at a time.
Yes, I want to take over the world. No, it's just very early on, when I was writing the world, it got so big that I was like, there's no way this is all going to fit into the comic. Because it's told from this cowboy's point of view, Jude St. Clair. So if he doesn't see it, I can't show it to you. Right? But there's so much other cool stuff that's going on. I was like, this is a waste if we don't experience this. So I was like, there's other ways I can show people this and they can experience it and interact with it even, which is a lot of fun. So on the back of every issue is a riddle. It's not an advert. It's not wasted space. It's a riddle. So like issue number 1, here, wait, pull up my Kickstarter. I'll show people. Share.
There you go.
Scrolling. Okay, so here is the riddle for issue number 1. This is called a red reveal riddle. So basically think of those 3D glasses, the red and the blue.
Wait, I've got a red candle.
It's perfect. So if you look at it through a red filter, you'll actually be able to read the blue letters. And there's instructions.
All right, okay. All right, I'll check that out later.
I was going to say, it might be a little hard to do on the computer screen while we're live, but
let me find the display settings. That'll sort that.
I have things that are abbreviated, but if you follow the instructions, it will take you to a place in the real world with other people that have solved the riddle. And then look at this. Issue number 2, we introduced
sign language.
Yes. So Jude St. Clair is a coda. He's a child of a deaf adult. So he can utilize sign language, but he is neither deaf or hard of hearing, but he can speak it fluently. But a lot of times what he's using it for is smack talk. So in issue number 2, there's a poker game and he's calling people names with his hands because it's what he does. You know what I mean? And no one can see that. So he's saying one thing with his mouth and crap talking with his hands because that's who he is. So this riddle is written in ASL. So if you can translate this, then you have to solve the riddle and send it to the email there. It's just potpr.info@gmail.com. And that will trigger something to show up in the mail to you. Unfortunately, it has to be here in the United States. I can't mail it overseas. But it's an interaction with one of the characters. Like they're real. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
I hope it's the bear.
If that bear showed up on your door, it would be a terrible day. Everybody loves Big James, but it's like, man, he's so terrible. He's just he's a living nightmare. It's just a force of nature. It's a bad day if he shows up.
Well, I was looking for the backdrop of our conversation. I saw the cover with him, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm going with."
No.
That's what I'm going with every time.
So amazing.
It's cool.
And that artist's name is Everett Watkins, and he's done a cover since the beginning. So he did. You remember the issue 1 with the cowboy against the setting sun with the smoking?
Yeah, lovely.
That was Everett. And then in issue 2, we had a Christmas tree decorated in zombie parts. And that was Everett Watkins as well. So he's always spot on. And with this one, he was like, "Do you trust me?" And I was like, "Uh-oh." I was like, "I trust you." Okay. Yeah. And he was like, "I'm going to do a Big James cover." And I was like, "Have at it." And it turned in this beautiful, I hadn't even seen it, and he finished it. I didn't even see the concept, nothing. He just dropped this cover, and I was just like, holy moly. Wow. So he does excellent work. You will probably see more from Everett in the future, just because he keeps producing these amazing covers. I don't know why my computer is lagging. It's going so slow. I'll go back up to
Don't worry about
covers. Here we go. Okay.
An 18+1. There you go.
Yep. This is the full thing. Here's variant cover B by Angela Aquino. Also, beautiful cover. So
I like the colors on the raincoat. I think
I was talking about this because he gave me like 3 options for the color of the raincoat, and I was like, it has to be yellow. And it took me a while to figure out why. Do you know why?
Surprise me.
Are you familiar with the movie It by Stephen King?
I was going to say, it's an It movie, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. It's Georgie carrying the red balloon.
Yep.
Right?
I see it, definitely. Yeah.
Right. So I was just like, and when I saw the image of Georgie in the yellow rain slicker with the red balloon, I was like, aha! Like, this is why it had to be there. And it was in my subconscious the whole time. And then I was like, this is why this image appeals to me. But again, it's that dichotomy, the haves and the have-nots, the majority versus the minority, the no pulse, no rights versus dead outside, still human inside. So you're going to see a lot of clashing going on in this issue. And he covered it quite well.
Just this issue, this cover's kind of prompted me a little bit of a question. Sorry to interrupt there.
No, go ahead.
You talked about the devolvement or the degradation of the mind as the people get more and more zombified, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is there a set time frame for that, or is there things that make it go quicker and things that make it go slower? Because I mean, the person here has obviously got some sort of like agenda, and if they start losing their marbles, to put it mildly, sorry if I said something uncouth, then they're not going to be able to still petition for their rights. So correct. I would assume that this person, if they are dead or not dead, has to keep hold of the faculties longer than, say, somebody else who's doing something that's going to cause more damage down the line.
Right. It hits them all differently, and
Okay.
it depends on the manner of death. So
Okay.
let's say they had a head injury, they would probably decline much quicker than maybe someone who died of, old age or cancer or some other thing. You know
So
what I mean?
so football players are gone first, is what we're saying, right?
I mean, yeah, if they're having head injuries, they're going to be pretty chaotic right from the jump, right? But the other thing is you're going to find protesters who are living.
Yeah.
Because there's always a sympathizer out there.
Oh, yes, there is.
So you're going to have these crowds of people that are mixed, that are both living and undead, protesting the rights being taken away from the undead. Because again, how long do you get to keep your rights as an undead person? Can you drive a car, have a firearm, vote, own property? All those things go away, when you die in this world.
Interesting. When you give the snapshot of the idea of the book, it's the social political aspects don't seem quite apparent until you start seeing covers like this and you realize it is not just a horror zombie book. There is more to it than that. I think that's a credit to you guys who have clearly, and Laurie, you've clearly put a lot of world building in this. Whether you see it every issue because you're not going to give the game away from the get-go,
right.
I appreciate that. But you have every angle covered that you want to tell. So I think the amount of planning that must go into something like that is humongous.
You want to talk about some issues? Let's talk about this issue.
What's wrong with that issue? Well, there's no fishnets for a start.
What happens to things that used to be taboo in this world?
Well, it depends who's doing the tabooing, to be honest.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about sex, when you are male, your heart stops beating and it's not going to work no more.
Oh, you know what? Let me just get in. You've brought this up. I read a book recently in which one of the characters said a joke, like a lesbian vampire joke, and it said, "What did one lesbian vampire say to the other lesbian vampire?
See you in 28 days."
Yeah, but then I was like, I don't find that funny because they wouldn't. If you're a vampire,
wouldn't work.
That wouldn't work. That would never happen.
Right, because they're undead. It stops.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So I'm like, I get where the joke is. I'm not like a complete moron, I get where the joke's supposed to be funny, but it's just not funny because it's
right.
It's like the final episode of Buffy, the first season. She's drowned and she needs somebody to bring her back to life. Angel can't do it because he's got no breath. So Xander has to do it. And you're like, of course, yeah, he's a vampire.
Yep.
Sorry, that just kind of popped into my head when, sorry, I've digressed. So yeah, carry on. So yeah, so things that, yeah.
Things get really wild. And I mean, so again, obviously some things in our world are not okay. When you should not be feeling feelings towards someone who is no longer present, right?
True.
But in this world, what happens?
That's the fancy of Craig, if that counts.
And for how long? You know what I mean? Because she's gonna start decomposing. So how long is she going to be seen as attractive? I wonder if that becomes like a new taboo, a new like weird kinky thing. You know what I mean? Like how long?
Yeah.
But again, only living men could take advantage of this.
Yeah. Well,
so
traditionally,
it's interesting to think about all the aspects of this world and how really dark it can be, right?
Yeah.
So this is William Russell cover, colored by Dan Kemp, and they are a great team. They do some amazing work.
Again, I have to shout at my wife. She saw this cover and she goes, "What's happening?" And she got things stuck through her boobs. I was like, "No, that's a censorship thing."
Yeah, we can't show it.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
if you back this level, you get the actual cover without the smiley faces.
There you go. Definitely something to say.
She's a beautiful girl, and it cracks me up that they made her a redhead. So whatever. But we talked about this in detail off camera. We could talk about all the different aspects of what this brings up and how terrible of a place that would be for us ladies.
Well, yeah. It's one of those things. Again, it's that social element that you don't even consider.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of you'd move on from. Well, you think you'd move on from there, but obviously, as you said, people like what they like, I guess.
Yep. And it would change the way that we see the world 100%. Let me go back up to here's some of the interior pages. Marta's coloring these 4 pages right now. She should be done any day, and then I will actually show these colored and lettered, so you guys can see these pages completed and what the kind of interior style would be. But I wanted you guys to see the A cover that Marco did for this issue.
Fantastic.
It's a little different than his coloring styles on the last one, but wow,
I think the different colors show a more vibrant world, and it should, because you're going back in time before No Death Day, so you need to reflect that somehow. And I think the fact the choices here, you've got reds and purples versus the normal Western palette type thing, show that definitely. I've got issue 2 to the side of me open here, and I can see straight away that one screams, the current one, this one you're showing now, screams to me city, and the issue 2 screams countryside.
Right. And he changed his entire palette. So he went from a more like yellow and browns and oranges with like yellow greens. And when we went back in time, where it's very much blue. So it starts out that like blue sunny day, and then of course I do stuff and it's a bad day at the end of the book. But this red kind of carries throughout. But it just cracks me up because Jude St. Clair is an EMT in the beginning of the apocalypse where people don't die. So he has kind of like what do you call that? A courtside seat to see everything as it happens.
And he's also redundant.
What's that?
And he's also redundant. No, you don't need the EMT if nobody dies.
Well, I mean, it's so important for them to stay alive at this point. I'd want to stay alive in a place where it's like, now I have to endure my own decay phase. Please, no, like save my ass. But it cracks me up. Like he just has this like resting bitch face. He's done. He's seen enough. There's a riot going on in the background, and he's sitting on top of an ambulance having a smoke break. And he's eating a burger from a bag that says Big James Burgers. So that's Marco DeFillo's sense of humor. It cracks me up. I don't know if you saw an issue 2, but go look around. There's like a singing bass. There's a toilet in a tree. He does all sorts of funny stuff in the background when he has to draw like stuff in the background that's not important. You missed it the first time around, but go back and look. There's some really funny stuff back there because he's got a sense of humor.
I'm going to go look at that. Let's just give everyone some heads up on this. So your Kickstarter for this is live.
Yes.
The link for you is right there. Go check it out. If you are using Kickstarter and you have no idea, just go to the Kickstarter main page, type in Pale Rider, and you'll see all of them come up. Simple as.
Yep.
Dead easy to find. So you are currently on. Let me just transfer this to dollars. You're currently on $4,830 pledged of a $4,550 goal. So you are fully funded. You have 22 days to go. So basically, anybody who pledges in from this point is guaranteed the book.
100%. We are funded, baby.
And what I like about your Kickstarter is you've recognized that overseas can be a bit of an issue,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's no disrespect to anybody in any shape, way, or form. I like pledging for Kickstarters. I also like proper comic books. I don't like PDFs because I'm an old school kind of guy. But the shipping makes it prohibitive for me to spend that, because it's like I can pledge my $5, but by the time I've paid for shipping, it's now $25 or whatever. It's not cost effective. So
Right.
you do the wise thing. You offer PDFs, and I think that's such a great way of getting around that kind of extra cost that people have to pay. You know,
Yeah.
and if as a Kickstart pledger, I will always pledge for the PDF because it cuts down on your costs, and I want you to get the money out of what you're doing. Because my idea, my goal as a Kickstarter fan is that this becomes massive. It gets picked up by a Dark Horse or a Dynamite, and it just continues to go. And of course, you've got your mini movies on there, so so basically you've got show reels for Netflix. You can say, "Hey,
Yep.
look what you can do." You know?
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that you can do from your computer overseas. I do have a distributor in the UK now as well. So if you're familiar with ASAP Imagination, they do digital downloads for me there. So if you, by any chance, if you miss the Kickstarter, they have a whole world called Any One World, and my comic is available there as well for digital download. So at least you can purchase it in your own currency, as opposed to coming to my website and purchasing it for dollars, which is, it gets messy. So I'm also available for digital download in the UK.
Cool.
Yep.
I laugh a little bit. I'm not at you in particular, so I don't feel bad on this. ASAP, I know ASAP.
Do you?
There are a couple of guys from Comic Crusaders work on ASAP. So
Yeah,
so
they're
Nemesis,
good guys,
for example,
man.
they are really good guys.
Mhm.
That they invited me in to do a reading on one of their books. I think
Which
they
one?
did like what's it called? There was it was a prose book, not a comic book, and it's like a double-sided thing. And it's like
Yes.
aliens invade, so you get the story from the side of the heroes, and then you get
Yep.
the story from the side of the victims or the villains. And I got asked to read one of those, so that was impressive. I enjoyed that a lot.
I
So
was like, how do I do one of these? Because these are amazing. I want to do, I think we called it a flip book. Hades called it a flip book. So it's like, yeah, and it's so cool because their iconography on one side is like an arrow pointing up, and then when you flip it over and you put it the other way, it's the arrow pointing down. They're really cool about it. The art's fantastic and the story is great. So 100%, you know, I like them and they like me because we're like-minded individuals about how we approach the creativity behind our projects. So it just made sense that I would get involved with that group.
Definitely. Yes, they are absolutely cool as. Excellent. I have to say, we also have another mutual friend. I was looking through your Kickstarter. Let me just find the link because it's at the bottom of the page. Other comics, I think it says. Where's it at?
Which one? Terminus?
Friends with Campaigns.
Oh yeah. Here, I'll go to the bottom. We'll go super fast so it just goes.
There's an Alien My Toilet by
Sam Vera.
How do you know
Sam
Sam?
Vera. He's a fellow Texan. I'm going to be adding to this too because I have more friends with campaigns that are coming. But I love doing this because these are my friends with campaigns. And I have all of these. I've backed every single one of them. Sam Vera, I've been backing since issue number. I think I got on board in issue number 2, but I got the catch-up here.
How got on board the toilet joke with issue
so
number
funny.
2.
It's like being 8 again, but he's very like Marvin the Martian, Looney Tunes type of comedy. He does it so well that a kid can read it and get something out of it, but me as an adult could still find things funny. So it's a great read.
I know, I've interviewed him.
Yeah, and he's great. He's so funny. He does has this like musical Tourette's where he'll hear something and like sing a song that's related to what you're talking about. It's so funny.
Cool.
This is my one of my besties, Carissa Grant. Her Kickstarter is launching April 18th on my show, and it's like,
your show that you haven't sent me an invite for.
would you like to come on? You're always invited. Everybody just send me a thing. Absolutely.
Fine, be like that then. It's because I haven't got a Kickstarter, isn't it? I'm just a view from the cheap seats. I get it. It's all right. I understand.
I think you're sleeping when I'm on. No, I think it's actually it's later in the day because my show is on at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. So
12, 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. So that's my working day. So
yeah.
I've got some annual leave coming up. I'll drop you a line. I'll see if I can.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome to come on, man. We can hang out and nerd out about comics, whatever you want to talk about.
It's a deal.
Right?
Yeah, I'm penciling something in as we speak.
That's right.
Cool.
Avalon is a great series. It's a zombie apocalypse at the beginning. You get to see an infection right from the jump, and it focuses more on a family. It's a Castle family, and they're kind of spread out, so it gets very chaotic, and it's pretty accurate to what I think would happen in that situation as well. It's good, bloody, and gory. The art is fabulous. So, and then of course we're on Terminus. Terminus is one of the only other comics that can claim to have a higher body count than mine.
Well, yours doesn't have a body count. Nobody dies.
This is true, but even though they're undead, I still wipe out quite a few people, man. I wipe the floor with them. And one of the cool things is like a lot of people can get drawn into the comic, and then I kill them in very exciting ways. Or you just show up as undead and half rotted, which is still kind of cool. But Terminus starts with like a population, and I was talking with Jeff Haas, who's the writer, and I think he said he kills off about 250,000 people in the course of like the first and second issue. And I was like, okay, Thanos, calm down. He just kills everybody. But it's an interesting concept that the universe itself is dying, and that there's 7 species on the control of this one ship, and they're trying to get to whatever is outside of the universe. They don't know what's there, but they're trying to get there, otherwise everything ends. So it's been interesting, and they've been working on this one for a couple years. I've been watching as they release art and everything. So it's Jeff Haas is the writer, and Brad Shipp is the artist, and it looks fabulous. So cool. Yeah. But I have digital PDF tiers. I have 2 of them. I have hot sauce, people. So if you're in the United States and you're watching, I mean, I have all these beautiful covers. You've seen them. I have one more cover that's still coming. I'm waiting on David Sanchez. I say waiting because I'm so excited to see what he does. I let him tackle a character that has not been introduced yet, nor will she be introduced in this issue. Fine. So she's kind of a spoiler with no context. It's gonna be epic. And then when you find out who she is, you're gonna be surprised and upset and shocked and all of those feelings. So that one's coming.
Cool. Look forward to that.
But I have hot sauce, Johnny.
I have no idea what hot sauce is.
What?
I'm British.
Oh,
brown sauce.
Hot sauce, man. It's like this is like a barbecue sauce inspired, but it has a little heat at the end of it because there's habanero in it. And if you look at the picture, it actually has Big James on the label. Did I take my one down? I took it downstairs. I had a bottle up here so I could put it up to the camera. I took it downstairs. Dang it.
I like the Big James Funko Pop.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I have a couple of those left. Ketchup tier, which is you get all 3 PDFs and all 3 physical copies, is $30, and I actually called it ketchup, like ketchup and mustard. It's funny. We got a Big James t-shirt. We have a secondary t-shirt, which is called Skull Arena. I put pictures of those up here because you can hardly see them on these. The Kickstarter added where you could put pictures on the rewards themselves. That's new. Yeah. And it's great so people know what they're getting, but still it's kind of small. So a lot of times we end up duplicating. Here's Marta.
Hola, Marta.
Yeah. Updates. Here we go. So here's the t-shirts. So this is the Skull Arena, also done by Angelo Aquino, and then here's the Big James, and this is
See, the
David
Big James.
Wagner.
See, the Big James is the one to go for.
I mean,
I'm not dissing anybody's art or work or anything,
oh,
but
I know.
if there's a character that is kind of epitomizes what's going on, it's him right now.
Yep.
So
Absolutely, 100%. He's just
that is
kind of
great.
became the unofficial mascot, you know?
Yeah.
And people love drawing him. So whenever we do a cover, there's usually a Big James cover, even if he's not in the issue. Or whatever. Metal covers. I'm excited for this one. $125. You get all of the covers, including the metal cover. So I'm throwing in a bunch of stuff for free because considering it's $100 for the PDF, the regular cover A, and then the metal, and then for $25 more, you fill in all of the variants. Plus, you still get a metal. That's a pretty good deal, man.
I agree.
I was excited. Someone backed one of these yesterday. This is the Super Secret Reward. And I did one of these last time, and we talked about it. It's a bottle of bones and ashes in a box. And I called it the Bones of Despair. And basically the concept behind that is, again, you can't leave this world. So if you were to hold the bottle of bones to your ear, could you hear the soul inside the bones? Kind of like if you were to put a seashell to your ear, you could hear the ocean. So this one's different, but I'm super excited for this one. Plus, it comes with all the copies of the books. Check it out, man. I'm really excited for this one.
You've done you've done yourself proud. It's absolutely done a great job. Great job. For sure.
Yeah. We have original art from Marco DeFillo. There's 3 left of those. So this pledge level, actually, some of the money goes directly to Marco to pay him for art, but he will draw whatever character you want. It could be fan art, it could be your own character, it could be someone from Path of the Pale Rider. He'll draw it. So, and then of course, here's our Big James Funko. 2 left of these, but you get the Big James Funko itself, the Big James T-shirt, and then of course, signed copy of issue number 3, signed by myself and Marco DeFillo. And then the rest of these are all gone. So we had a Early Bird sticker. We had a Get Mauled by Big James, where he makes an appearance in this issue. And we're going to guarantee your death by Big James in issue number 3. So someone got that. It's gone. There was only one of those, of course. And then, of course, the new Funko Pop is going to be Dwayne Fink. So this one went as well. So this one kind of gets like everything, all the covers. It gets the collectible sticker, the T-shirt, and the hot sauce as well. And then, of course, the new Singularity Dwayne Funko Pop, which comes in a white box. Cool. And it's been interesting. It's the same person that's gotten the Singularity on every single campaign so far.
Really?
She is undeterred and she's undefeated. But she was almost beat this last campaign. There was someone else that told me, they were like, I was gunning for that Singularity level, but it was gone when I got there. And I was like, if she didn't get it, she'd be knocking on my door like, where's my Funko?
Yeah, they've been buying it, not Singularity. Laurie, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you about your fantastic book. What can I say? For anybody who's interested, check out the website. It's there. Go check it out. You've all the information up to date. And of course, we saw it earlier. There is the Kickstarter. Just put Path of the Pale Rider in when you get there, and it'll take you there. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You know? Guaranteed book. 3 issues in. 22 days left to go. That shows you how popular this series is. Shows you the quality of the writing, the quality of the ideas, the art's fantastic. What more do you want?
I know. It's we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the story. So kind of issue 1, issue 2, they're exciting and you get to see things happen, but there's little context. I mean, it's still like if you read between the lines, you can get it. But now we're in 3 and then 4, 5, 6. I have said this from the beginning. My favorite issue in this first part is number 8. Once we get to number 8, there's no turning back, people. You're hooked.
I'm hooked now. There you go. Simple
8
as.
is by far the most exciting thing to happen. So, and everybody who's read the script agrees with me. Number 8 is where it's at. So let's get there. We're almost halfway there, right? Woo.
I have no doubt. I think you'll fly there. You will. Absolutely. Laurie, thank you for spending time out of your busy schedule talking to me again. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on. It's been great to come on, as the book progresses and follow up with you, tell you what's new, talk about, everyththing. So just, being in touch as my career progresses is really cool. So I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully your readers are following you, your followers are following me as well.
I hope so, because you know what? When you strike it big, like massively big,
When we see it on Netflix, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, remember me in the cheap seats. Cheers.
Oh, I will, sir. I will. I'll fly you out for the premiere.
Don't forget to check the UCPN for all your favorite shows. You saw the trailer earlier. If you want something a little bit different, check out K-pop. And if you want something from yesteryear, don't forget to check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, where the hosts aren't old, but the comics most certainly are. Laurie, it's been fantastic. I absolutely enjoy spending time with you. That's brilliant.
Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome. And congratulations on yet another successful Kickstarter launch. The sky is but the limit.
Thank you.
And as for everybody else, I've been your host, Johnny Machine Hughes. And as always, adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.shop, all about comic pop culture.